everyone. Welcome. I'm getting hungry looking at all of you. Yeah, just kidding. So it's great to see you all and talking to many of you today, all through the day. One thing that has become very clear is we have figured out where and how to store the data. And the real challenge is how do we make the data available for everyone across the organization? And if this resonates with you, can I get a show of hands to see if that's what you're trying to solve? Okay, awesome. Great. So here in this session, we are going to talk about Amazon DataZone, a new data management service that was announced at re:Invent last year. And we made it generally available in October. And what DataZone tries to do is for you to build this active metadata layer so everyone across the organization can share the data if they choose to for everyone to discover and use it, or to go search, find, understand, and subscribe the data for their analysis. I am Priya Tirutani, Senior Product Manager with Amazon DataZone, and with me we have Leo joining us to show a demo of how it works. All right, so to briefly talk about what DataZone is, I'm going to introduce the capabilities that it offers, and then we'll see a quick demo of how it actually works. So what do you need when you want to build a catalog? And their catalogs has been there for a while. It's nothing new, but catalogs have evolved over time where it has to become extensible, scalable, with all the business needs for the modern stack. So first, you need to be able to have organizational domains for you to know who owns the data, where it's coming from, and whom to get access from. Next is how do you curate the metadata so everyone understands the data, and it is for all the users, so they can be technical, non-technical. So usually looking at a technical catalog, you understand the columns, the technical names, but it doesn't give much information for a business user to know what it actually contains. So you need to have the metadata curation to build that context around the data that you want to share with others in the organization. And to do that, there are two foundational blocks. One is the business glossary, which helps you translate the technical terms to business terms, and the metadata forms that gives you the scalability to include information in your asset so anyone browsing and searching can understand the asset better. Think of when you search for an asset at Amazon.com. You look at the manufacturing details, you look at the product dimensions. Those are the metadata forms that you can actually add to the data that you want to share across the organization. So how do you make data discoverable? First, you want to ingest the data, bring it into DataZone so it can be cataloged, and then you enrich it with a lot of business information so everyone looking at it will understand the data that it has. And then you have the consumers who can go to DataZone and go subscribe to it and take it forward with the tool of their choice to be able to run analytics or do a dashboard or build a ML model or whatever they want to do. And eventually, these consumers can actually become the producers and catalog these assets that they're building, so it becomes discoverable for other users to build on top of. So how do you get started? How do you build these building blocks so the data becomes discoverable? The first is assets. How do you bring the assets into DataZone? The DataZone is built on top of the Glue, so by leveraging the strengths of Glue, we are able to bring all the technical metadata that Glue finds from the sources or Redshift and bring it into DataZone. And with these assets, you can actually build a lot of context around it, enrich it, and curate it in a way that anyone can understand the data and see if it fits what they're looking for. Business glossaries is like a dictionary of terms. So you want to standardize the terms across the organization because account for a marketing team can mean one thing, whereas account for a sales team can mean something else. So with the use of business glossaries, you can make sure everybody is on the same page and they understand what an account actually means and what it brings to the table. And third is the metadata forms, which is nothing but a key value pair kind of form that you can use to accentuate your assets build some context around it, and also build some consistency for your assets for everyone to trust the data and know where it comes from, and understand whom it belongs to, so they can confidently use the data for their analysis. And all that you're using to build these layers can be searchable, and this is how DataZone powers a search. So the end user, when they search, they can use these levers to filter out the right results so they can take the assets forward for their analysis. So what are the foundational models? First is the glossary, and you build a glossary and the terms belong to a glossary. So you can have multiple glossaries in your catalog. So you can have a marketing glossary, sales glossary, and it helps you build that dictionary of all the terms so everyone understands across the organization. Then is the metadata form that you want to have standardized across all of your assets. So this can be created by your admin or a data steward who says, okay, this is the consistency I want to bring for everyone across the organization, and this has to be part of the asset that you want to publish. And these forms, the producer uses as part of the publication process, where they embed it as part of the asset and then make it public, and then they publish it, which actually means it becomes discoverable for everyone across the organization. So let's look at how you're going to accentuate your metadata. So first, the data asset is how it looks like on the right side. So it is like a wiki page for your asset. It has all the details of your asset, the name, the description. It has all the technical metadata that was brought from the source, so you can understand it better if you want to. And also, you can use the business glossaries to classify it or tag it in a way that you can quickly search based on those glossaries. And the metadata forms can become part of those assets that standardizes the asset details. So, like I said, if you go to Amazon.com and look at a product definition, you can find the manufacturing details, you can find the product dimensions, you can find a lot of details that belongs to that product. And similarly, we want to provide the same experience for all the assets that you catalog in DataZone. And all this sounds very manual, isn't it? So how do we automate it? How do we make it simple for every user to use it? So first is the ingestion of data. So DataZone provides automated jobs which brings data from these different sources. You can schedule them or run once. And if you have a scheduled job, if there's a schema change, DataZone actually sends out notifications to the publishers to say, hey, this source that you brought has changed in schema. Do you want to notify or stop the usage to the subscriber so it doesn't break any of the downstream activities? And notify everyone so there is no impact even when the data has changed. And the second level of automation is how do you curate the data? And this is an area where DataZone is investing a lot. The first thing that we introduced in GA is the automated name generation, which uses a lot of machine learning to bring the description for the assets and the columns, so you don't have to go do that manually. When it's tens or hundreds of assets, you can actually do it easily, but think of it in millions of assets. How are you going to build these descriptions? And one thing that's exciting that's coming tomorrow in Adam's keynote is one other new capability in this space. So do take the time to watch what's coming new in Amazon DataZone and see how it fits into your business use case. So the assets are usually referred to all the traditional structured data with rows and columns, but that is not the case anymore. With DataZone, you can actually catalog assets that are beyond just structured tables. It can be a dashboard, it can be an ML model, it can be a SQL query, it can be a job, it can be just a link to something else. But what DataZone offers is for you to catalog those different types of assets and build that business workflow where the producer can know who's subscribing to it, and the producer can actually decide if they want to give access to the end user to use it for their downstream activities. And with that, I'll hand it over to Leo to show how it actually works so you can see it working in the product.
Perfect. Thank you, Priya. Okay, folks, so Priya showed you what Amazon DataZone does. I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, I'm going to show you a very quick demo about how to build enterprise business catalog, enterprise data catalog using Amazon DataZone. Perfect. Good? Okay. Perfect. So the first thing that we have to do is go to the second. Perfect. Go to the catalog. Okay, the catalog option. Here we have three main options: rows catalog, glossary, and metadata form. Okay, let's start with glossary. We're going to create a business glossary with some terms. So here you can see the list of all the glossaries that we created for this demo. Okay, I have like 25, but in real life you can have 1,000. If we select one of them, you can see the description. Okay, a general description of that business glossary. But also you can see the terms, and each of every single one of these terms with its own description. Okay? If you want to see even more details about this term, okay, you have the option to add a README section on top of each term, and also you can create relationships between different terms. Okay. Also here you have the option to search for a specific term. Again, as I mentioned before, if you have 1,000, you have the option to search. And here you can see the information, for example, of a GPS data. Okay? So now let's create a business glossary for this demo. Okay? Let's click create. Create glossary. So we need to start with the name, of course. Certification status. Then we have to select the project that is going to own this glossary. And you have the option to add a description. It's always recommended to document everything that you are going to put here. Perfect. So we have the business glossary created. So let's add some terms. I'm going to add just 2 or 3 for this demo. So let's start with certified. Okay. Then we have to put the description. Perfect. Now let's add 2 more. Create term again. We put now pending certification. The description. Great. And now let's add the last one. Not certified. And also the description. Perfect. Now, as you can see here, you have your new business glossary, with 3 terms. Also here, you have the option to add the README section that I showed you before, okay, and the relationships. Now, let's go to the metadata forms. So, metadata forms are going to allow you to add business metadata to your data asset. Okay, those are forms that you can customize in whatever way you want with the information that you think that is going to bring more value to your consumers. Okay, for this demo, we have 3, but I'm going to create a new one. Okay, so here I'm going to put data certification. I have to add here a technical name. Why? Because you can manipulate this metadata form using APIs. And in order to use the APIs, you need to have a technical name. A description, of course, and once again, the project that is going to own this metadata form. Okay? Perfect. The form is created, but it's empty, so let's add a couple of fields here. Again, as I mentioned before, you can customize this whatever way you want. So here I'm going to create one called certified by, the person that is certifying the data. Again, I have to put the name, the same behavior as the metadata form. We have the option to put a description. This is optional. I'm going to put a very short description. And here, you have the option to select the field type. So if you see, we have date, string, and so on. So I select string because it's a name. You can put the minimum length and the maximum, and you can make it searchable or required. Searchable means that if somebody search for this field as part of the data catalog, that person is going to be able to find this asset by this field. And required means that if somebody needs to fill out all the information, this specific field, in order to publish a specific data asset. Okay? Perfect. So, well, here, let's click Create Field. Nice. And now let's add a second field. And this one is going to be slightly different because it's going to be related to a business glossary. Okay? Metadata forms allows you to link the form with the business glossary. So in that way, everybody inside your company is going to use the same terminology. Okay? That's why it's so important. So here, we're going to select the glossary that we recently created, in this case, glossary status. We have the option to allow the selection of multiple terms. I'm not going to do it. And again, searchable and required. Okay? Perfect. And remember, you need to enable the metadata form in order to use it. Nice. So we have the glossary, we have the metadata form. Now let's document an asset. Okay, so for that, I'm going to switch to a producer project. I'm going to select the data option here. I'm going to select inventory. And here I have the list of my unpublished assets. So I'm going to document traffic trials. Okay? And here on the top, you can see that we have a green message. That means that Amazon DataZone auto-generate some metadata, business metadata, based on the technical metadata that was part of that is part of my data asset. Okay. Perfect. So let me go to schema. Here you can see next to each column a green icon. That means that DataZone found a better option to name that column. But these names are business names. Okay, those names are not going to change your technical metadata. It's going to change only the business one. Okay, so once I agree with all the changes, I have just to accept it. And now those are going to be my business names. Okay? If we go back to the general business metadata, here you have the option also to create a README section on top of your asset.
Okay.
Okay? Let's add a very quick description here oh, sorry. Before I do that, I wanted to show you that you can also document each column. Okay? So for that, you can select one of the columns,
Just around here.
edit it,
Just around here.
and add a description, a business description if you want to. And also you can add business glossary terms to each column, okay, if you want to. In this case, I'm going to select Verdict, okay, and I'm going to save it. So as you can see now, the column is linked to a business glossary term. Okay, so let's go back to the business metadata. Okay, I'm going to add a README section.
Internally, Eisenkart with Eisenkart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something I need.
Perfect. A very short description. I'm going to save it. Then I'm going to add a couple of business glossary terms. So as you see, you have 3 options to add business glossary terms to an asset. At the column level, at the general level, and using metadata forms. So here you have the technical metadata. These come automatically from harvesting the metadata from the Glue catalog. And let's add now a business-related metadata form. Let's use the one that we recently created, a very short one. So we have to put here certified, that the asset is certified. And here I'm going to put the person that certified the asset. In this case, it was Maya Gomez. Okay? So as you can see here, I have all the information that I need at the column level at the general level. Okay, and actually also the DataZone helped me to refine some metadata. So after I document everything, the only thing that I have to do is click publish asset, and just with that, our data asset is going to be searchable for everyone that has access to the data catalog. Okay? Yeah, 20 seconds. Okay? Perfect. That's all for today. Thank you.
I just want to
Done?
Yep.
the wrap up.
Yeah, you can do it.
Is that
So yeah, thank you all. I think what I wanted to share is all the sessions that we have on data governance. It's a new track that was introduced at reInvent this year, and DataZone is one of the key services in this track, so do check it out. We have sessions, workshops, and chalk talks where we can dive deeper into the different capabilities that DataZone offers. And we also recently introduced a masterclass because data governance is about the people, process, and tool. The data governance, DataZone is the tool, but if you have the people and the process in place, then DataZone is successful for you. So for this reason, we announced this masterclass. It's a set of videos that talks about the best practices, how to go about the people and the process, and understand more about how you can bring it into your organization. We have a guide that can work you through step by step. And with that, I wrap this session. Thank you so much for taking the time.